Today, I'm going to install this Renogy Workshop Novice Kit. The reason I went with a kit is because I like to keep it simple. They have done all the brain work. Everything's figured out. Everything is right with one another. It comes with all the wire. It comes with the fuses, all the connections. Hopefully, all I have to do is install this, turn it on, and forget about it. This kit comes with a 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. The inverter has GFCI protection, overheating protection, overcurrent protection. Pure sine wave means that the AC power that it produces is basically just like the power you would get if you were hooked to the grid. It's consistent and clean power, and that's what a lot of newer components and devices need to run. You should be able to get 20 to 25% more out of your solar panels using an MPPT charge controller over a regular charge controller. This one's 520 watt capable. The kit comes with 400 watts of solar panels. I could probably put one more in if I wanted to, but I really don't think I'm going to need to. For my use, this is a small cabin. The kit comes with a combiner box. It's basically like a junction box. It has two bus bars that run the length of it. That's where you'll land all your wires. You can use multiple combiner boxes. This bus bar sticking out here would go into that end if you had another combiner box. That would give you more points to land wires for more components. These LED lights will indicate if the individual components that are hooked to that spot on the bus bar are on or off. That can help with troubleshooting. The kit also comes with a 300 amp hour self-heated deep cycle LifePro battery. Right now that battery's powering these lights. I took the old battery out, so we'll cover that a little bit more later. Let's get this thing hooked up, turn it on, and see how it works. First step I need to do, I'm going to take these solar panels down. Although it's going to add a little more work replacing this wire with the one that comes with the kit, this is only 14 gauge. The Renogy wire is a 10 gauge. This wouldn't be enough for the kit, so I'm going to change this out. Each panel has 4 mounting brackets. They're easy to install. You could probably mount it on the roof if you wanted, but I prefer to mount mine on the side of the cabin on an adjustable rack. That way the snow stays off in the wintertime, and if it doesn't, I can reach them so I can clean them off. 45.5. The rack I used for my old panels is too small for the new solar array, so I have to make a new rack. I'm using treated deck boards. They're a little bit lighter than 2x, and they're still strong enough for solar panels. I started off by temporarily hanging the top board level. After that, I hang 3 hinges. I put these blocks behind the hinges so that it can swing down freely and not hit the batten strips. After that, I pull the temporary screws, fill in all the holes on the hinges. Then I hang 4 vertical boards, roughly spaced equally. Once those are up, put the bottom board across, put a screw in each end, square it up so that the rack itself is totally square, then fill in the bottom boards with screws. 95 3/4. These boards are just prop rods to hold the panels up. When I'm here, I'll have them propped up. When I'm gone, I will make sure that they're laying against the wall in the cabin. A little more protected and definitely better for snow. After taking down my old panels and starting to hang these ones, you can just tell this is a much higher quality product than what I had. I'm pretty excited to see how they perform.
One thing I just learned is that having your solar panels in partial shade can create hot spots and damage the panels, so I'll need to trim some limbs.
Feels pretty solid. I don't have any great spots on this property for full sun, so I mount them on the side. In the winter, they go straight up and down. That way the snow falls off. When I'm here, I lift them up, prop them up like this. So this is not full sun. Let's test one panel and see what kind of voltage it's producing. Right now, it is producing 21.6 volt, 22.6 volt. Now I'm gonna lay it straight up and down on the wall and see how much it produces at that angle. that. Vertical, still 22 volts. That's the benefit of monocrystalline panels. They perform well in low light. That's a light. This new battery is 300 amp hours. It's 3,840 watt hours. And it's got a max surge discharge of 390 amps. That's a pretty impressive battery. The battery came almost fully charged, so I'm just going to hook that up for some temporary lights. 13.3, 13.4. Solid. These are the bus bars I talked about earlier. The bottom is the negative, the top's positive, and each one of those bolts is where you would land your wires. Having a combiner box makes it a lot easier to keep your wiring job looking neat and clean. This wire powers the outlets in my wall. It's too short, so I'm going to add a small junction box, put in a different cable that will run over and plug directly into the inverter. Another nice feature is this inverter comes with a remote control, so you can mount the inverter in a back room or something and not have to walk back there to turn it on. Just really want to make sure that that wire can get down flat enough so it's not putting a strain on the battery. Right now I'm just fitting the wires. I'm not actually hooking anything to the battery until all the components are mounted and wired up. Once they are, there's a sequence that you have to follow to avoid damaging your charge controller. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a wrap of tape around it, really close to the end, to squeeze it down. You don't necessarily have to buy a big crimper like this. I was able to borrow this one from the local electrical supply house. This system has 2 points that need to be grounded. One is on the combiner box, the other is on the inverter, which is another thing I really like because I never really felt quite right about my old inverter not having a grounding point. This bare copper wire will go from my combiner box to the ground rod, and that will serve as the main ground for this system. I decided to move the charge controller to a little safer spot in the cabin. That's a lot safer spot for this because my chair will be over here somewhere. I don't want to hit it with the chair. I'm doing away with my inline fuses by mounting a fuse mount. It has 6 spaces. I'll only need 3 because I have 3 DC circuits, 2 for lights and 1 for USB ports. I'll power that directly off of the load space on the charge controller. Now I need to get my solar cables through, so I'm drilling through the rim joist at a slightly downward angle so water will not run into the building. I know which one's positive now, but later I might forget, so I mark it with some red tape just to be safe. Right now, none of the connections are made. The solar panels are disconnected outside the cabin. The battery is not connected to the combiner box, and the fuses are out of my DC fuse block that powers the cabin.
I'm going to completely wire the charge controller and inverter before powering up the system.
The negative will just mount right to the bus bar. The positive will have this little 40 amp fuse between it and the bus bar. Basically, I just want to flatten the lock washer down. I don't want to break this fuse. Positive gets another one of these fuses behind it. This one is a 350 amp 58 volt fuse. Now I need to ground the inverter. This is the ground stud. It's right behind the negative terminal. Probably should have done this beforehand. Just crimped a lug onto a 10 gauge wire.
The other end of this ground wire I fastened to the exterior ground using a split bolt. Now that my panels are covered up, my wires are in place, first I'm going to hook up the negative battery cable.
Now I need to hook up the negative solar panel cable. I've installed the 15 amp inline fuse already. The negative cable is hooked up.
Now I'm hooking up the positive cable, and after that I hook up the positive solar cable, and it should be up and running.
Okay. So it's reading my battery is at 12.8 volts, which I've used it quite a lot, so that's not surprising. All right, I'm gonna go hook up the solar panel positive. Now that I've got lights, I'll show you what I had to set. This little icon here, it's very small, but it says Li for lithium ion, and it's 12 volt battery, so I have to be on 12 volt lithium ion. I'm powering my DC through the charge controller to turn the load on. I just had to click this to the right once. So now I'm going to put my battery box back. One thing I did read in the battery's manual says that it needs to be vented, so I'm going to have to put a vent probably here and here on my battery box. I also need to cut these grooves for cables. So I'm going to cut that hole. I'm going to use the inverter and see how it does. Charlie, you need to get down. Alright, let's finish that off. So I made all these cuts. I cut this out, I cut this out, I cut a little spot out there, cut that out, I cut all of this area out, and I trimmed this lid to length. And the voltage dropped from 13.2 to 12.9, but it's right back up to 13, and it seems to be bouncing back and forth between 13 and 13.1. So that's quite a bit of work, and it's charging right back up. So I'm pretty happy with that so far. Probably the question that people asked the most about the other solar kit that I had was if it would run a mini fridge or not. And my answer was always no. I knew it would run it, you know, it would turn it on, and it would run, but there's no way that battery would last. I think this one's gonna do it. So I went and bought a mini fridge, plugged it in. It's been running for a little while. Cycles on and off a lot more than I expected, really. For some reason, I kind of thought it wouldn't cycle on as often as it does. So far, it's doing pretty good. Battery voltage is still at 13 volts. When it kicks on, it drops down to 12.9. Then it just kind of bounces back and forth between 12.9 and 13 while it's running. And then as soon as it kicks off, it pops right back up to 13. Let's see if I can vacuum the floor. This is a 5 horsepower shop vac, so pretty good draw.
I do all my editing on a 13-year-old MacBook with a bad battery, so it has to be plugged in all the time. It was really nice to finally be able to do that at the cabin at night with the lights on, no problems.
I think if you had a good, clear spot to put your panels so you had full sun all day, which I don't, you'd probably have no problem with a mini fridge. Me, I'm not sure that the charge can keep up, because this thing doesn't draw a lot of power. It draws about 50 watts and then probably about 100 to 150 watts startup. It'll cycle for a while. When it shuts off, it turns back on in about 5 minutes, and it's going to do that all night long. So if I have a cloudy day and my panels aren't in full sun anyways, I might have some issues. They do have a kit that has 2 of the 300 amp hour batteries that would probably have no problem with this. I will probably only use the mini fridge on the weekends when I'm here, and then when I leave, I'll just unplug the fridge and take the food with me. I think it definitely could do it if you had a good, clear, full sun spot for your panels. But otherwise, this thing runs my circular saw, my jigsaw, runs the shop vac, does a great job. It does a lot of things that I couldn't do before, and I'm very happy with the kit. Well, that's what I've got for you today on the Renogy Workshop Novice Kit. I'll probably be doing some kind of update video this winter to see how it's performed after having it for a couple months. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you soon.